ஒழுங்கா வருதா அது பாத்தியா?
Good evening. Is it audible? Am I audible, madam?
Yes, sir, it's audible.
Ma'am, you can start now, madam. Already six
Yes,
five.
yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'll start, sir. I'll start. I'm waiting. Actually, some more participants will join. Like that. I'll start, sir.
Okay, ma'am.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the 6 days online adult faculty development program on AI-driven full stack innovation from microservices to intelligent automation and cloud scalability, organized by Department of AI/ML, Shri Indu College of Engineering and Technology, Hyderabad. I hope you all are feeling inspired and energized by the sessions we have had so far. Today we'll be exploring on automating builds with Docker and Jenkins in session 1 by Prabhu Balsubramanian, Principal Architect, Altimetric, and Code Faster with GitHub Copilot in session 2 by Prabhu Arunachalam, Senior Lead Tata Communications. And this will be also followed with a question and answer sessions where you can ask questions and engage with our experts. And I request all the participants before we start our session 1 to switch on the camera for photo. As you all know, in Atal, we need to upload. I request all the participants to switch on the camera. Once again, I request all the participants to switch on the camera for the photo. I request all the participants to switch on the camera. Yeah, is it okay, ma'am? Adeline, ma'am.
Yeah, ma'am. Yeah, ma'am.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you all. Before we start, I would like to thank our speakers, organizers, and support staff for their hard work and dedication to making this program a success. Now let's get started with our first session. Please join me in welcoming our first speaker, Sri Prabhu Subramaniam, who will be discussing automating builds with Docker and Jenkins. A seasoned professional with 17 years of experience in DevOps, cloud, SRE, Agile, SDLC, and enterprise application development, skilled in CI/CD pipelines, Docker, Kubernetes, AWS, Azure DevOps, and infrastructure automation. He is also proficient in managing high availability, scalable, elastic, secure web applications while automating operational tasks and monitoring SLA SLO metrics. Extensive expertise in cloud migration, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, containerization, orchestration, and digital transformation. Hands-on experience with DevOps and DevSecOps toolchains, vulnerability management, and application security. Adopted managing infrastructure as code using Terraform, AWS, CloudFormation, and ARM templates with strong focus on cloud security, threat modeling, and risk assessment. He is experienced in diverse roles such as developer, technical architect, manager, product owner, and scrum master across banking, finance, healthcare, insurance, and telecom domains. Skilled in business analysis, instant and release management, and agile and waterfall methodologies. A collaborative leader with expertise in pre-sales, POCs, customer-centric solutions, and fostering innovations, and recognized by quick learning, technical writing, and effective decision making. Welcome you, sir. So please take over the session. Thank you.
Thanks, ma'am. Hey, guys. How are you? I hope you are doing well.
Yeah.
Day before yesterday, we met
Yes.
second session, right?
Yes, sir, in session 2.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for giving such a great opportunity to me, ma'am, and everyone.
Thank you, sir.
Organizer, and yeah, of course, student. Yeah. Now, today we are going to discuss about automating build with Docker and Jenkins, right? I hope everyone knows about DevOps. If you have any queries in middle or time of topic or something, then you can add them in the chat box, and at the end of the meeting, we will address them, right? Is it clear? I'm going
Yes,
to
sir.
screen.
Yes, sir. Please share your screens.
Yeah. Yeah, is it visible?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, here, if you have any queries, then you can post it in LinkedIn as well. We will address it in the LinkedIn as well. Yeah. So before we are going into our session, so what is meant by DevOps? I hope everyone knows about DevOps, right? Anyone? Can you please explain?
Yeah, development and operation takes place in the same place.
Yes, perfect. Yeah. So the traditional way, previous 10 to 15 years back, what happened, the developer in the separate team, and then there is no DevOps. So at the time they have mentioned as server maintenance team, and then some web server, application server, something like that. They have mentioned it, and it's a separate team. They are only whatever the build jar or war something is there. Then just they are put it into server, and they can able to start. Suppose they if any changes in middle, then they need to stop the server and upload it, and they need to start. So it's a too tedious, and it time taking process, and it affecting the customer's point of view. So the link, sometimes it per day 10 to 15 minutes it's downtime, something we have to mention it before earlier, both development team, testing, as well as of course customer. So this is happened 10 to 15 years back. Now, I mean, 15 years back, they found methodology agile. So once we found agile, then DevOps and then Docker, Kubernetes. So these things and all developed parallelly. So now I have a query for you. Without DevOps, will agile work? Anyone?
No.
Perfect. Yes. So without DevOps, agile won't work. But you try to implement without DevOps agile, then you can, but you won't get the proper result. Okay. Now, today we are going to discuss about DevOps, what is going to be DevOps, and then CI/CD, and then Docker, Jenkins. In middle, we can discuss some other things, whatever the related with DevOps and Agile methodology. Okay. Okay. DevOps, in high level, we can mention it, what is meant by DevOps, and then a process of CI/CD, Docker, Jenkins, of course, and then best practices, challenges, and demo as well. Okay. Okay, so before we are going to enter into our topic, we have to see what are all the roles and responsibilities related with DevOps. DevOps engineer, DevOps engineer training. So when you are in fresher at the time, DevOps engineer training, then you can promote as a DevOps engineer. Then future you can DevOps engineering lead, then a DevOps architect. This is the one of the way. And the second, SRE cloud, infrastructure engineer. These things are another career path. And then DevSecOps, and then secure. Security architect, these things and all, another career path. Okay. If you want to choose your career path in DevOps, then you won't involve much technical things. I mean, you no need to write too much coding part, right? So here you have to think about how do we configure with multiple tools. Like we need to integrate Jenkins with Docker, and then Jenkins with Kubernetes, and then a lot of other tools are there. I mean, of course, cloud, AWS, Azure, and then GCP, these things and all. We have to configure multiple tools. Of course, SAST, DAST, YAST, these things and all. Okay. Why DevOps? Here, DevOps, you have to interact with multiple teams. I mean, a development team, operation team, and then testing team, and then documentation team, security team, cloud engineering team. These things and all, we have to interact day to day. Okay. If they are facing any issue related with the deployment, then definitely all are attacking you. Okay, here DevOps, it gives faster delivery of as well as it increases the performance of the development process. Okay, and it increases the reliability. Okay, without DevOps, what are the issues will come? Anyone?
I think there will be conflicts between the development and operations team.
Okay.
And the continuous monitoring of the product, what we are going to develop.
Okay. Okay. See, in real time, you are trying to develop a product. Then the very first thing you have to deploy your product into the development system, right? Development server, you have to deploy. All consider now 20 developers are there, right? All are trying to develop. Okay, before that, how task will come to developer? Who will give task in real time? Developer. Okay, what I'm trying to say here, a lot of systems are there, a lot of servers are there. So without DevOps, it's too difficult to move from one server to another server. Mean development, very high level I am trying to say here, development server, then testing server, then pre-prod server, I mean staging server, then production server. Consider 4 servers are there, right? Now, development part completed, we have to move it into testing team. Without DevOps, configuration, suppose a developer want to add any jar or something, any other additional third-party integration, then the same thing we have to add all the systems. Okay, in DevOps, in Docker, we are using, then it's very simple. So your life will be easier. So it's too fast comparatively. Okay. Here you can see what is the benefits of DevOps. As I said, faster delivery, improved quality, and then scalability. So now, like it's 100 features we are going to develop, and then multiple, a lot of jars and third-party integration, third-party tool we have to integrate with our product. Then the size will be huge, right? It may be like 5 to 10 GB sizes or something like that. Then we have to increase performance, and then we have to increase both software and then hardware end, right? So these things and all, when we use DevOps, then definitely it will be simple. And then cost, of course, we can reduce cost. We can see it later. Very high level, what are the tools we are using here? The very first thing we have to use Git or Bitbucket, I mean, or very any other version control tool. Then second thing, CI/CD process, like of course Jenkins, and then Circle CI, and a lot of other tools are there. And then container, Docker and Kubernetes. Monitoring tool, like Prometheus, Grafana, we are going to use it. Okay, here you can see the CI/CD, benefits of CI/CD. What is meant by CI/CD? I know everyone aware of DevOps, right? Here, continuous integration and continuous development. What is meant by continuous integration, and what is meant by continuous deployment? Anyone, please? I know everyone knows about it, but you are hesitant to share your information. See, you don't worry if you, I mean, if you are sharing the bit and irrelevant or something, then no problem. You can share it. Whatever you know, you can share it. We don't think something different, right?
Yeah, any problem comes, actually then and there itself it has been handled and again so added into the process.
Okay, almost right.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Patil, Dr. Patil.
Yeah, Dr. Patil. Thank you. Thanks for sharing the information. Yeah, of course. Here, if you want to develop a feature, then the particular features immediately it okay. Now the requirement come in morning 10 o'clock. Now the same thing we have to deploy in the production environment evening 3 o'clock. It's not possible in the traditional way. In legacy environment, it's 99% it's not possible. When we use DevOps, Docker, CI/CD process we implemented, then definitely it's possible. Because here the challenge part is developer have to write the code and unit test case. Once it's completed, then immediately it directly goes to the unit testing environment. We'll see it later. Okay. Code coverage tool is there. It automatically coverage all the unit test cases. Then it directly, once it's passed the percentage of 75 or something, then it moves it into the testing environment. So immediately, once it's moved by default, then testing lead, he will receive mail related with that. Then immediately they are going to test. Once they completed the testing part, then it moves a staging environment. So final test, our testing manager or delivery manager, they are going to test and they will approve it. And then immediately it move it into the production environment. So what I'm trying to say, the almost 60 to 70% we can automate it. Okay. So very faster delivery when we use CI/CD implementation. Here we can see Agile and DevOps. Already you are aware of it, Agile, right? What is meant by Agile and what is meant by DevOps, right? Without DevOps, Agile won't work. Without Agile, DevOps won't work, right? Okay. In very high level, we can see how the requirement will, in real time, we can see in real time how tasks will come to developer, then how it move it into tester, then how it move it into the production environment. We can see it here. Okay. The very first thing, our product owner, it's totally irrelevant from our DevOps and our topic, but the task will be provided by product owner. Product owner, he's getting the requirement from the customer. He has the very good domain knowledge, and he will be writing all the tasks, and he put it into product backlog. Once enough product backlog is there, then he will be giving, sprint planning. At the time of sprint planning, he will be giving it into Scrum Master. So Scrum Master and product owner directly assign it to the developer. Some few things are there, like story point, and then based on that poker card, it's assigning some small process is there, but it's not related with our topic, so we can skip it. And once the developer will be received the task, then it's coming into the Jira board or Agile Azure DevOps or something, some other ticketing tool. I mean, project management tool is there. So okay, now it's assigned to you. Then you have to write the code. Once completed, then it goes into the code reviewer. So once you committed your code into Git, then code reviewer, they are checking your code manually. Okay, now code reviewer completed, then he agreed, then it goes into the your branch. Okay, developer branch, the development environment. Okay, now once you committed your code and once you committed, then it moves into the Jenkins environment when you use CI/CD. Okay, here Jenkins will check whether your code is quality or not. How? Using SonarQube. Okay. Okay, here, anyone share the information about what is meant by SonarLint versus SonarQube? Okay. SonarLint, in the sense, you are using IDE, right? A lot of IDE is there, Eclipse or STS, a lot of IDE is there. So you are going to write your code using IDE, right? Integrated development environment, right? Integrated development environment, right? So there is a plugin called SonarLint. at the time of you writing code, your code is not quality, then it won't allow you to commit your code. Okay. Now, what is my Sonar Cube? Sonar Cube, it's integrated with Jenkins. Okay. Lot of plugins are there. Sonar Cube is one of the plugin used to check your code is quality or not. Okay. What is meant by code quality? Anyone? Am I asking questions too much, or this is fine for you guys?
Yeah, it's okay.
Oh, okay. Okay. Now, code quality, when here, okay, consider you are writing a method name get time or set time, then it won't give any error. Suppose you are giving st or gt, then it gives error. Why? Because there is no meaning, right? Method name, there is no meaning, and then unnecessary code is there, and then unreachable code is there. Then it won't allow you to deploy your environment. I mean, your task won't complete it. Okay. So each and every person, when you commit your code, then it checks. At the time of build, it checks whether your code is eligible to move next stage or not. So here, DevOps engineer set the percentage of code quality, 60% or 70% or 90%. Then if suppose the code build fail based on, your quality, code is not quality, it directly send mail to the particular developer. Your code is not quality, blah, blah, blah line, and these things and all there. So total 10 code quality you violated, something like that you will receive. Then you have to update your code. Then the process will re-trigger it. Right? Okay, now code quality got completed. What is next stage? So a lot of stages are there. We'll see it one by one later. So here in this slide, we can see once the development got completed, then it moves into the deployment stage. Okay, deployment stage. Here, deployment engineer and then a deployment manager, they are checking your code quality as well as code coverage and some other criteria. Okay, everything got completed, then it moves into the next stage. It means testing stage. Then manual tester and then automated script testing, it will be involving. Integrated testing. What is the difference between unit test and integrated test? Okay, unit test in the sense you are writing a code and then the small code snippet. For example, one method is there. That method will work perfectly or not. Then it's called unit test. But all your co-worker, your colleague committed their code and then some other module is there. So consider product having multiple modules and then multiple features, right? For example, now consider Amazon is there, right? There is a feature like a purchase and then sales and then stock. Lot of modules are there, right? So these modules and all, it's called when we are going to test them, it's called integrated testing environment. So there is a way to automate this, but even though we have to do the manual test, random manual test, something, a lot of black box testing and then some other names are there. So these things once completed, then it move it into the staging or pre-prod environment. So pre-prod environment, it's a production-like environment. So the complete production replication is there. So before we are going to release our features into our product, to customer, then product-like environment, we are the end-to-end, we have to check whether it will be working fine or not. The same third-party integration tool, all other tools are configured perfectly, then it will be working fine. Otherwise, staging environment won't be work. Okay, everything fine, then the finally product owner, they are going to test in the staging environment, I mean pre-prod environment. Once he approved, then it will be moved into our production environment. Okay, once it reaches production environment, then it will be available that feature to customers. Okay. Here, for the very first thing, here we are going to discuss about only CE/CD part. Okay. Now, developer committed their code, and then once reviewer checked your code and he give go ahead permission, then it without without seamlessly it will connected with testing server. I mean it will be working in the development server. How it's possible? There is a lot of concepts are there. We can use webhook. Through webhook, we have to integrate Git. I mean, there is an option Git webhook. We have to configure Jenkins path and then build project name and then configuration credentials. We have to configure our credentials in the Git webhook. It will be directly committed. I mean, it directly build in the Jenkins environment. We'll see it later. Here, what we are trying to say here, CA in the sense, once you committed your code up to it reaches Jenkins, then it's called CA. Okay. CD in the sense, once build at the end of the build, we are going to check code quality, code coverage, code security, everything. Once these things are completed, then we have to build Docker images and Docker container. Okay. Once Docker container will be ready, then it moves into, I mean, it will be available, the particular features in the browser. Okay. Okay. Here you can see CI/CD tools. As I said earlier, at the time of plan, product owner, he will be added your code, I mean your tasks in the Jira. How he collected from the customer, and he will be added all customer record
Sir, it's not audible from your side. Prabhu Balasubramaniam, sir. I request all the participants to be patient. We are checking the technical issue. Thank you.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It's audible, sir.
I'm very sorry. Power cut.
No issues.
Now I try to connect through my mobile. So you can see the small fluctuation. Give me 1 minute. Then it won't give any issues. Give me 1 minute. You can see small fluctuation.
Good evening, sir. Your voice is audible, but it is very low. Thank you, sir.
Are you able to see my screen?
Yes. No, your screen means you are visible, sir. Your computer is not visible.
Okay.
Voice also clear now, sir.
Okay. Now, are you able to see my screen?
Yes. It is getting loading, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, I'm very sorry. I connected with my modem. The power shut down.
No problem, sir. Thank you.
And now I connected with my mobile.
Okay,
So
sir.
after, I think you won't get any interrupt. Okay. Okay. So which slide? I mean, DevOps workflow. This one, right?
We are discussing the life cycle that slide, sir.
This one?
No, present one only, sir. Pipelines. You are started discussing pipelines.
Okay, this one. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, here previously we discussed about DevOps, right? Now we are going to discuss about CI/CD, right? What is meant by CI/CD? Already someone said, right? Continuous integration, continuous deployment, right? Now you are going to commit your code in Git to Jenkins build. It's called continuous integration. I mean, you are continuously integrating your code, and then it's continuously building, but not deploying. Once you committed your code without any anyone manual intervention, it goes to Jenkins. Then it's called CI. Now, once code coverage, code quality, code security, everything, the percentage, what percentage we set, something like around 80 or something. Once the percentage got successfully completed, then it directly will go it into development environment, and then testing environment, and then staging environment, and then production without any one manual intervention. It directly goes to the development to production. It's called continuous deployment. So it is a very quick and reliable features we can see it, right? So without CI/CD, definitely Agile won't work. Here we are going to use Git for code commit, then code build Jenkins, then automation script. Here a lot of security tools are there, as Dast, and then are you able to see my screen?
Sir.
Yes, sir. It is visible.
Okay.
If you minimize that mobile screen, it will be very better, sir. This way is fine, sir.
Okay. Now you can see it here, Jenkins for CI/CD integration. Then SAST, DAST, YAST, and then penetration testing, called Coverity. Some other tools are there to do all these testing. Then once testing got completed, unit test and integration test, manual test, automation test, it will be done by testing team. here SAST in the sense static application security testing, DAST in the sense dynamic application security testing. So this kind of security testing, we are checking here your code is secure or not. Your code is not secure, then DevSecOps team will be sending mail to you. You voluntarily injected with or without your knowledge, your code is vulnerable. So whenever you are going to do, you have to double check your code. Okay, so it will be done by DevSecOps team. Okay, now everything is perfect. Then your code will be converted into container, Docker container. Once in production environment, container will be converted into Kubernetes pod. Then finally it will be going to our target cloud console. It may be AWS or Azure or GCP or some other cloud console. Excuse me. Now, what is the purpose of Jira and Confluence? So Jira, product owner collecting the requirement from customer, and he will be updating it in, converting the requirement to task, updating the Jira in the as product backlog. Okay. Here, Confluence, what is the purpose of Confluence? It's, developer or testing guys, they have to update our DevOps team. Whoever going to do something related with our project or product or feature, then they need to update their things, what they have done, what is the purpose of the code you have implemented, what is the purpose of the feature, how you implemented, and what is the issue it will happen, and how do you configure with other tools. So whatever you are going to done, you have to document each and every line in Confluence. So what is the purpose of Confluence in the sense, after 6 months, you are going to see your code, then without documentation, it's too difficult to understand. It takes a lot of time to understand. So once you are developing, updating your code, your things into converting into documentation, then definitely it will be using for newcomers as well as something after 6 months you are going to see, or something you are going to deliver to customer, or every 6 months once audit will happen. So at that time, auditor they are going to check you have documented or not. So without documentation, then definitely you will be failed in the audit. So once audit, 2 to 3 times the same, you will be failed in the audit, the particular guy, then definitely it will be affecting your appraisal. So documentation is very, very, very important. Here, what is the difference between GitLab and GitHub? Anyone, please? Okay, GitLab, it's a open source community tool. So without any without any payment, you download, and then you can implement. You can add your code seamlessly. You can able to create your own project. So you can install it in your local environment, and you can do whatever you want. Okay, GitHub, it's available in the it's a online tool, it's a paid one, lot of features are there. So once you configure your project into GitHub, then GitHub workflow, and then you can implement, when you use GitHub and then GitHub workflow, then you no need Jenkins or any other deployment tool. Okay, so Gradle, we can use this for build, and then Ant is there. So these things and all, build tool. Okay, testing. Once committed your code, then build process, then testing process. So JUnit, Jagago, lot of other tools are there to do unit testing. Okay, release, of course, Jenkins and Circle CI, a lot of tools are there. Okay. Once you released, then the deployment process, Docker or Kubernetes or Lambda, AWS Lambda, it will be deploying your code into the target environment using Docker or Kubernetes or Lambda. Okay. Without deployment, okay, what is meant by deployment? Sorry? Anyone, please? Okay. So in the very first slide, beginning, I said 15 years back or 20 years back, war or jar, something they have it, then they are moved into web server or application server, right? But here now, it's, I mean, whatever the code or feature you are developing, you can move it into Docker container or Kubernetes pod or a Lambda container. Okay. Once you converted your code into container, then it will be available for customers. I mean, it will be available in the browser. So you can check your developed code. It's available in the browser or not. Okay. So here, what is meant by Terraform? See, when you are willing to work as a DevOps engineer or cloud engineer or DevSecOps engineer or a DevOps architect, then you no need to write coding part, but you have to learn at least 200 to 300 tool. Okay. Otherwise, it's a bit complicated to survive. So you have to create the environment using code. Then you have to use Terraform, right? For example, you want to create the entire server, using code. Then you can use Terraform or CloudFormation or ARM template. Okay, monitoring tool. What is the purpose of monitoring tool? Here, Grafana, Prometheus, and then Datadog, these things and all we are going to use. Okay. The purpose of monitoring tool here, once you implemented, deployed, and it will be available in the production environment. But each and every product, it will be configured with lot of other third-party tool or lot of other modules, right? Lot of other services are there. For example, now consider Redbus is there, right? So they have to check with some other lot of buses are there to configure, right? And then location-wise tracking is there. So a lot of features are there, right? So they have to check whether it will be connected. The connection will be enabled with third-party tool or not. I mean, location or map. Map, then they are using Google Map. Location, then they are using some other third-party tool. Then our product continuously connected with third-party tool or not. Suppose something happened. I mean, it will not be connected with third-party tool. For example, now location is not connected or map is not connected. Then what will happen? All other features will be working fine, but the particular feature won't work. So that time monitoring team will be involving and they are going to check whether the connection is enabled or not. Now the connection is not enabled, then by default we definitely will be setting the alerting mechanism and it will be sending alerting to the first level team. Okay. Then P1 team, they are checking whether the connection is available or not. Then there is a automation script. If the connection is not enabled with a particular third-party tool, then they have to do the repeated code is there. They have to add that code. Then it will be working fine. Okay, even though it won't be working, then it will be moved into P2 team. So they are going to check whether the problem with a third-party tool or our tool or in middle API or request or response. So these things and all they are going to check. So based on that, they will be reacting using logging mechanism. Okay. Now, it's a Jenkins workflow. Jenkins fetches code from Git and then as I said, once check out code from Git, then it converted into building. I mean, build that code. Once builded, then it will be checking code. As I said, code quality SonarQube, right? Then using Maven tool, it will be building. Then it checks our code is quality or not. So once everything completed, then the notification will be sending it to the Slack. So before that, it checks any third party or any other dependency is there. Then the dependent jar or some other things, it will by default it configured with Maven tool using Nexus repository. Okay. So before that, we have to upload all our artifact into Nexus repository. Then it will be working fine. So in single word, we can say Jenkins is a master. Jenkins fetches code from Git, and then Jenkins checks code quality. Jenkins checks code coverage, and then if any error, then Jenkins send message to developers or text message to in Slack group. Any so far any queries here?
Yeah, in DevOps, many tools are there. What is the role of the DevOps engineers?
What is the role of DevOps
Engineers. Most of the thing, for example, you can take to check the health condition. So Nagios is there. Convert the code into image. One tool, Kubernetes, something is there. So what is the role of the DevOps engineers?
DevOps engineer need to do all work except development part, except testing part. So you won't do any coding and coding testing. I mean code testing. Except this, you have to do all other work. For example, the developer committed their code into Git, then the developer work will be fine. That's it. Testing people just they are testing the code in browser, then his part is over. But DevOps engineer part, you have to fetch that code from Git. Then you have to check all other part. I mean, you have to check unit testing. Developer just write the unit test code, but we have to ensure whether he covered all code or not. For example, now 20 method development team implemented, but JUnit they have written only 10 method. Then we have to check whether maximum we are giving 75 or 80% for unit test. Okay. Now only 50% they have covered unit testing. Then it will be failed. So what our DevOps engineer, they have to implement the Jenkins pipeline. First thing, we have to fetch and then we have to build using Maven. Then the third thing, we have to do JUnit coverage using Jagago or some other tools are there, right? Yeah, JUnit, Cucumber, a lot of tools are there. So we have to configure all tool and we have to check it covered or not. Then we have to check code quality is there or not. We have to check code security is there or not. Then we have to build that code into container, I mean Docker container. Then we have to ensure it will be successfully moved into development server, then testing server, then pre-prod server, then production server. Finally, everything done. Then we have to ensure whether healthing mechanism is there or not, and then logging mechanism is perfectly working or not. Suppose developer simply they will be sending mail. I am not able to see my logs. Then the DevOps engineer responsibility need to respond that mail. Like we have to fetch the URL and we have to check Kibana and a lot of Log4j tools are there. It will be working fine or not. We have to ensure, and Kibana we have to install Kibana in the centralized server to check developers log. Okay. See, all other servers or configurations or tools. See, here you can see, right? Code commit. Here you can see 10 to 20 tools, and build you can see 10 to 20. Here almost 100 tools are there. So these tools we have to configure. We won't develop any tool, but we have to configure, and we have to use these tools to give good product to customer. I think I answered your question.
Yeah, you mean to say customizing all the tools according to requirement?
Not customizing all the tools. We have to use that tool. Customizing in the sense, for example, Jenkins having 20 or 25 features are there. Like now plugin mechanism is there. Then some additional a few plugins is not working. Then we are going to customize our alteration or giving some additional features to Jenkins. Then it's a customization of tools. But we won't do any customization for Jenkins. Just we are using Jenkins, and we have to add our. I mean, using the tool, we have to install a lot of plugins, and we have to configure Git to Docker deployment. We won't be any customization. Just we are using and configuring Git to deployment area.
So you mean to say according to requirement, you are taking some features of the particular tool? Jenkins, you told 20 features are there. So in that, according to the requirement of the client, only 10 are suitable. So you are making use of only 10 features?
Okay. See, here there is no features. See,
Hi Prabhu, this is Vijendra. Let me answer for Dr. Patil's question.
Yeah.
See, doctor, so it's more like whatever role a DevOps engineer plays, right? It is more like orchestrating things that you actually need. See, a developer cannot have an end-to-end access for all these servers.
yes.
At the same time, the end user, he cannot come and see like what is actually happening inside this server. So a DevOps engineer, he is more like a middle person, who plays a vital role for delivering the code, like whatever the developer has written across multiple environments. It's not like he's not going to use a specific 10 tools or 15 tools. See, like each organization, they might have specific standards and they might have specific license agreements with multiple vendors. So they cannot use all the tools available in market. So based on their agreements and based on their security protocols, what they have said, they would use a few tools. So all these tools, like the DevOps engineer, he acts as a key person in integrating all the tools into a single pipeline, so that the moment you commit your code to a repository, it is being like pulled, being tested, deployed, and checked for all the security violations. And finally, like if it is found to be safe for deployment, it will move gradual to environments. So as you progress to each environment, like how Prabhu explained some time back, like say like you want to deploy to production environment before noon or by evening time, it has to go gradually from each environment till production. So the DevOps engineer, he makes sure like your code, it is reaching exactly like what you intend to, like rather than like not getting stuck somewhere. So again, like as the pipeline progresses, you would need to like check a few things in your code. Say like at lower level environments, like when you're just testing in your environment, you just have to test only a limited components. Like as you go on till pre-prod environment, you would have to like integrate with the entire running application in production. You have to replicate it there and you have to test it like how it works actually in production environment. So there you would need more tools and like more plugins across different environments that you need. So DevOps engineer, he plays a vital role over there. Like, hope I answered your question.
Yeah. Thank you, Jendra.
Yeah, thanks, Vijendra. Okay. So yeah, a lot of tools are there. So based on the situation, based on the requirement, we have to pick the tool and we have to configure it into the perfect environment. Okay. Okay. What is the difference between VM and Docker? VM versus Docker. So already you are aware of it, VM, right? Virtual machine, right? Now consider almost 30 years back, only Linux and then Windows, right? Then it VM came, then container came in, pitching into our part, right? So here VM positive things we can say VM advantages is bit secure things, and it's isolated and secure way, but the performance is too low. Comparatively, it's low. Okay, I mean Docker is sharing the host machine OS. I mean host OS. It's sharing the host OS, but VM we have to install using hypervisor. We have to install the entire OS. So performance-wise, it's bit low, and because we have to install all the OS related steps, and then it consumes CPU, memory, and some hard disk part size, everything huge comparatively. But when we use Docker, it's a independent one, and it's very lightweight. Whatever we want, we can be able to install using Docker. It directly fetches the things from Docker Hub and it's installing. And then portability part, Docker is very simple. So portability part, now we have to show the same demo into the client end. Then it's bit difficult to when you use VM, then it's bit difficult because we have to set complete environment in the client area. But when we use Docker, then we have to install Docker in the client area, and on top of that, just we have to configure our entire project. It's a very simple way. So a simple way we can say VM is the old generation, and then Docker is the new one. So without Docker, a container DevOps is a bit difficult. We can implement, but a bit difficult performance-wise. Okay, when we need to create Docker, then the Docker file, images, container is required. Okay, what is meant by Docker file? So we whenever we need to create a Docker container, then the very first thing we have to create the Docker file. It started with from Java or from PHP. So whatever Node.js, whatever the container we are going to implement, the very first thing we have to give the base image name, and then image. The second thing we have to create the image. Image is just it's a downloaded software. It won't run. So once we need to create container, then it's a runnable software. Consider it's a runnable feature, working feature. Okay. So here the previous issues, only it works my mission. It's not working others mission, then we can eliminate all these kind of issues using Docker. Okay, it is maybe Docker workflow. Here you can see, as I said, a Docker file is the very first thing. Then we need to create the Docker images. So once the Docker images is ready, Docker image, when you create a Docker image, then it pulls the code from Docker registry, Docker hub. Then we have to create a Docker container. Once we can create n number of Docker container using Docker images. So a few port related issues we can solve it using Docker container. Okay, here how do we set up Docker and Jenkins? So a Docker website is there. We can see it later. Then once we have to follow the instructions, then finally we need to check Docker version. Okay, it's a very high level. I mentioned it here, but a lot of steps are there. Based on the voice, we have to configure the Docker. At least 10 to 15 lines are there. We have to add it in the terminal or in the desktop. Docker client is there. We can use it. And then Jenkins. So we can install Jenkins lot of way. One is a standalone. We can directly download a Jenkins exe and we can install it. And then through now you install the Docker. So on top of Docker, we can install Jenkins. So this is the line. Jenkins latest. Here we have to mention the version number. If you want the old version, then you can mention it. Instead of LTS, you can give the version number. So once installed Jenkins, then here you can see this is the port number. These are all the things. And then here volume. We can mount the volume. Then this is the name of the Docker container. Okay. In browser, you can access localhost 8080. Integrate Docker with Jenkins. So once you install the Jenkins, then you have to install Docker plugin in the plugin part. We can see it at the time of demo. Here you can see the example of Docker file. As I said earlier, now you are going to implement a Python container, then you have to give Python and then version, and then which area which working directory we have to mention it here. Then we have to copy all the Python version to this working directory. Then the requirement text. So the requirement text, a lot of Python related integration things. So once everything run and installed, then our application will be started. Okay, creating a job. CI/CD code or developer code committed, and then CI/CD it triggers. Then Jenkins file used two things to build. Then build my one Docker image. It puts it into the Docker hub. This is a very simple Jenkins job. Okay. Here you can see the example of Jenkins pipeline. Anyone? Can you explain this github.com user? What is meant by repo.git? Here it's a repository, github.com user, and then here you can see the repo. Repo is the repository name. Then it fetches the code. You have to write this code in Jenkins. Now Jenkins fetches code from Git. Then it builds the code. And finally, it creates the Docker container. Here you can see the Docker image. Here you can see the Docker container. Okay. Now we can see few ways to achieve full automation using webhook. Webhook is a very important concept for automatic triggering the process. Okay. When developer commit the code, it directly pushes to the Jenkins part, and Jenkins start their activity. to move it into the production environment. Now, the implementation step. Okay. Once you committed your code, then you have to go to the repository settings in Git. Then we have to configure the Jenkins URL and Git web tool. Then you have to install Git plugin in Jenkins. Then you have to configure Git URL in the Git plugin. Okay. Before that, you have to install Git plugin. Otherwise, it won't work. See, this is the workflow. Git webhook triggers Jenkins. Then Jenkins checks started here. Very high level we can see it because we have the demo section as well. So time constraint we have to quickly we can go through it. Okay, Jenkins declarative pipeline cron job. A lot of phases are there, right? So here this is the every 15 minutes or every 1 day or every week or every month you have to release your product to customer. Then you can set it using trigger cron pipeline in Jenkins. Here, Docker build automation using Docker Hub. Whatever code you completed, it directly moves into create the Docker image, and we can move it into Docker Hub. Once you committed your code into, your container into Docker Hub, then in worldwide, anyone can able to fetch your container and they can able to run their own environment. Okay. This is the same way Docker agent. So we have to create the Docker agent, then we need to give like agent. So this environment, the code will be running perfectly. Okay, so if you want to run any other environment or Gradle or any other environment, then we have to give the agent name. Here, automatic trigger. Automate Docker image deployment. The same thing. So if you want to run your container in the 8080 port, Kubernetes environment or Docker or Ansible used to create our Docker container. So what is the purpose of Ansible? Anyone able to explain it? Ansible purpose? Sorry. Okay. Now, in real time, you have to configure, you have to install particular tool, particular software. For example, now you have to install GitLab in the Office environment. It contains 100 systems, right? You no need to go to each and every system to install manually. Okay, when you use Ansible, then or AWS SSM is there. So you can use these tools and directly you have to write Ansible tower or something in the single system you have to run, and then it will be installing all other systems like 100 or 1000 systems. The same environment or you have to set up the same environment, Git or whatever the software, the same software you have to install multiple systems, then you can use it through this mechanism. Okay, what is by infrastructure as code? As I said earlier, you want to create the environment. You have to create the environment, services, resources using code. Then you can use the Terraform or CloudFormation or ARM, something like that. Okay, here just you can mention it. I need, for example, I'm saying it's not exactly, but 100 GB size, and then RAM, and then memory, and then the database. So these kind of the thing, the complete environment you have to create. Then you can write these things into code, and you can run that code, then the environment will be created successfully. So why we are creating this thing then? Is the same kind of environment we have to implement in the development testing. As I said, that at least 5 to 10 environments are there. So each and every environment we have to create. Then it will be taking lot of manual effort and lot of time consuming process, right? So for this reason and some security reason, some not only environment creation, all other like once you created your production environment, then a lot of issues will come in future. So manually you are creating and someone is managing, then definitely it will be an issue. So you are writing the code, and against the code, the environment created, then there is a link between these things. Then you can manage it in the very huge size project. Simple way. Okay, automated testing in Docker, and then Autopilot to a Docker registry. Then continuous monitoring alert. Here, Prometheus, Grafana, these things and all, we can use it to monitor. Okay, here credential part. So we can use username and password, and then based on the requirement, we can connect any other tool in Jenkins. Okay. Here it started here. Developer, commit, code in repository, Jenkins, sorry, Git, then JUnit in Jenkins, SonarQube in Jenkins, then Maven in Jenkins, Artifact, Nexus, or any other Artifact tools are there. Then Docker, using Docker, then Kubernetes, it converted into pod. Finally, we are going to check monitoring. Monitoring, it's a very, very important part to check our product will be working fine or not. Okay. Anyone having any doubt here, or any queries or concerns or issues?
So some participants have posted in the chat box, sir.
Oh, okay. Sorry. Yes. Vidyalakshmi, repository. You are asking about what is meant by repository?
So she answered your question actually when you have asked report.git.
Okay.
The last question.
Okay. Got it.
Yes.
Thank you. Is there public auditing there for privacy preserving? Is there public auditing there for privacy? No. There is no public auditing. Only our internal audit team is there. Okay. Two kind of audit will happen. One is our internal audit team, our company audit team. Another one is customer audit team. Okay. So at the time of audit, we have to give we have to show our code, and we have to explain all our code and who are all working, and how do we fetch our code from Git to deployment part. We have to show it. We have to show it to them. Okay. The documentation part is very, very important at the time of auditing. Without documentation, definitely they won't accept you. Okay. Not only development part, you have to maintain your team. For example, leave and then options without information, with information. So these kind of all other things also we have to maintain it. These things and all your manager taking care. So you don't worry as of now, guys. Okay, here the simple example of workflow for a packed one, right? From it fetches the code from Git, and then the same story here. Docker, Ansible. Ansible, why Ansible here? Because it manages both nodes. Okay, suppose something happened, then we can manage it from Ansible. So far, any queries related with DevOps, CI/CD, Docker, and Jenkins? Please feel free to ask your queries, guys. Okay, now we are going to see the DevSecOps roles. Okay, here you can see SCA, static analysis, static composition analysis, SCA. They have missed it here. Okay, SCA, static application security testing, and then here you can see IAST, right? Integration application security testing and the dynamic application security testing. So these things and all very important for any DevOps guys. If you are going to work a DevOps engineer, then these things and all very important. Once you are familiar with these things, then you can move it into DevSecOps team. Okay. For example, now I'm going to discuss about what is meant by SAST. It directly checks your code. For example, Coverity tool is there. You have to configure Coverity tool, and it checks your code whether it's secured or not. It directly fetch your code and it checks any suspicious code is there or not. Okay. For example, you added any URL or any other your name. You added your name or your ID or username password. You added it, and then there is no security. It visible to everyone. These kind of the things. Then we can easily identify when you configure SAST testing in Jenkins. Okay. DAST. What is meant by dynamic application security testing? Here, once you developed and now it's now the container is available. Now it's a runnable version is available. Then that time it will be involving like 45 some other tools are there. It checks whether now code is available in the browser. That time it checks whether your code is vulnerable or not. It checks. I mean, how it checks? It hits your URL and then it gives multiple username and password and then token. These things and all it will be passing and it checks whether your code is secured or not. And then penetration testing, all some lot of things are there. We can see some other session, DevSecOps session later. But now we are going to see the demo part. Here are some common challenges. So here Jenkins limited test coverage and then few issues it happened. Some performance issue will happen and again plugin got changed. Then that time I mean now Jenkins is working fine, but after 1 or 2 hours sometimes it won't work. So due to these kind of reasons, so the plugin version got changed or something upgraded there, and then that time we have to check and we have to fix those kind of issues. So performance issue, definitely this is one of the main criteria personally for me. Whenever we are going to deploy multiple deployment, like a parallel deployment is there. So once we build more than 3 deployment parallelly, then it won't work fine. Okay. Now we are going to see the demo part. Okay. So before we are going into demo, anyone having any query? Sorry. So far, any queries?
So could you check in the chat box? Sir? We have a question from Maheshwari ma'am.
Yeah, definitely.
Ma'am, can you please read, madam, so that sir can answer easily?
Yeah. So can I read, sir?
Sorry.
Please go up. Check in the box.
Good evening, sir. DevOps, so many tools will be there. Yes. I have to develop my skills for DevOps engineer. Which tool I have to learn mandatory? You have to learn all the tools. See, very high level, you have to learn it. But very, very important tool, then I can say Git